I sold my jewelry and cleared out my savings to help my son and his wife open their cafe. When I visited, I saw a sign that read, "Family not allowed behind the counter." My daughter-in-law glared and said, "Customers don't want to see old people." My son pretended not to notice me standing there. I left without saying a word. 2 years later, they were drowning in debt, and then they found out who really owned the lease when. I'm 64 years old. I live in Everett, Washington. I spent most of my life working as a dental assistant, 32 years. I was good at it. I liked helping people. But I had to retire early because my hands and knees don't work the way they used to. Arthritis runs in my family, and mine hit hard. My husband passed away 7 years ago from cancer. He was only 61. We never made a lot of money, but we were careful. We didn't take fancy vacations or buy expensive stuff. We just saved. A little at a time. When he passed, I downsized into a small apartment and kept saving. I don't live fancy, but I'm okay. Or I was. My son, Caleb, is 34 now. He's my only child. I raised him mostly on my own, even while working full-time. We were close when he was little. Always needed me around. Always gave me hugs. That boy used to make me feel like I was the center of his world. That changed after he met Fallon. She was loud, always right, always making people feel small. The first time I met her, she looked me up and down and said, "You don't look like a dental assistant." I still don't know what that meant. I let it go. I wanted to get along. But the more time went by, the less Caleb seemed like himself. He stopped coming by. He stopped calling much. It felt like she had pulled a string and turned him away from me. Still, I tried to stay hopeful. Then one evening, about 3 years ago, Caleb and Fallon invited me to dinner. They made tacos and had everything laid out all nice. It felt strange. Formal. Like they were about to ask for something. Sure enough, halfway through eating, Caleb said, "Mom, we found a space downtown. A cafe. Perfect location. We've been dreaming about it for years." Fallon added, "It's gonna be modern, organic, totally Instagrammable." They went on and on. Custom furniture. Vegan muffins. Open mic nights. Then the ask came. They needed money. A lot of it. I asked how much. Caleb hesitated, then said, "We're about $58,000 short." I didn't answer right away. Fallon jumped in, "It's a loan, obviously. You'll get it back. Probably with interest." They both looked at me like I owed them this. Like it was expected. I didn't have $58,000 just lying around. I had about $38,000 in savings. The rest I made up by selling the only valuable thing I had, my jewelry. My wedding ring. Some pieces my mother gave me before she passed. I even sold a small collection of old coins my husband had kept. I didn't tell them any of that. I just handed Caleb a check. Fallon hugged me, but it felt fake. Cold. Caleb looked relieved, not happy, just like he'd gotten something over with. Now, here's what most people don't know. That cafe space? The lease wasn't in their name. They couldn't qualify. Bad credit. No real income. The landlord, a man named Bill, was an old friend of my late husband. He called me and said, "I don't feel comfortable giving it to them directly, but if you sign, I'll make it happen." So I did. I had the lease drawn up in my name. 5-year term, with a clause that gave me full rights to take control after 2 years, as long as I gave 30 days notice. I didn't plan to use it. I just wanted to protect the investment. I told myself, this is for them. I'll stay out of the way. I let them handle everything. Decor, menu, hiring. I didn't micromanage. I even avoided visiting for the first month because I didn't want to hover. I thought they'd invite me in once they settled. But they didn't. So after about 6 weeks, I decided to surprise them. I put on some nice clothes. Took the bus. Walked 2 blocks from the stop to their cafe. I was nervous but excited. The place looked great from the outside. Warm lights, plants in the windows. A little chalkboard sign that said Fresh Brewed Joy. Then I saw another sign taped to the back entrance, near the employee area, staff only. No family behind the counter. I stared at it for a full minute. I thought maybe it was a joke. Some kind of weird in-joke. Then Fallon walked out from the back and spotted me. She didn't smile. She didn't say hi. She walked over and said, "You can't be back here." I said, "I just wanted to stop by." She looked me up and down and said, "Customers don't want to see old people behind the counter." I didn't say anything. I looked over her shoulder and saw Caleb. He was behind the espresso machine. He glanced up, saw me, and then looked away like he didn't recognize me. My heart cracked right there. I turned and left. Quiet. No scene. I went home and cried the whole bus ride. They never called. Never explained. Weeks turned into months. I stopped trying to reach out. Then I started hearing things. The cafe wasn't doing well. Their menu was confusing. Fallon was hiring her college friends who had no restaurant experience. Orders were getting messed up. Customers complained online. They got hit with a health inspection and had to close for a few days. Their business loan payments were overdue. I stayed out of it. But I kept checking the calendar. I knew the date that 2-year clause would kick in. When it finally came, I sent the 30-day notice by certified mail. Then I waited. No response. Then, on day 31, I walked into that cafe. Fallon was there. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. She saw me and said, "What now?" I said, "I'm here as the property owner." She frowned. "What are you talking about?" "I own the lease," I said. "You've had 2 years. That's over now. It's mine." Caleb came out. He looked thinner. Worn out. He looked from me to Fallon, confused. "Wait, what?" I pulled out a copy of the lease and laid it on the counter. "You never read it, did you?" I asked. They didn't say anything. "You were allowed to run this place. But the lease never belonged to you." Fallon's face turned red. She started yelling, but it didn't matter. It was too late. I didn't evict them right then. I just said, "You have a week to remove your personal belongings. I'm taking over." I turned and left. Fallon showed up at my door 3 days later. She banged so hard I thought something was on fire. When I opened it, she pushed past me like she owned the place. Didn't even wait to be invited in. "You can't do this," she said, loud. "You're ruining our lives." I stayed calm. "I'm protecting what's mine." She paced my small living room like a caged animal. "You don't know what you're doing. You're not a businesswoman. You're just a retired old woman with nothing better to do." I didn't say anything to that. I just let her rant. Then she got quiet, looked around my apartment, and said, "Is this about you being jealous? You don't have anything, so you're trying to take ours?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "You think this was yours?" She crossed her arms. "It was. We built that cafe from nothing." I leaned forward. "With my money. My name on the lease. My contacts. And you told me I wasn't welcome." "You weren't," she snapped. "It wasn't personal. It was business. You wouldn't understand." I opened the door and pointed outside. "You have 4 days left. Take your things and go." She left, slamming the door so hard it shook the frame. The next day, I got a call from Caleb. His voice cracked as soon as he started talking. "Mom," he said. "Please don't do this." I stayed quiet. "I didn't know," he said. "I swear. She told me you were fine with everything. That you didn't want to be involved." "You looked right at me," I said. "The day I came in. You saw me standing there." He didn't answer. "I gave up my savings, my jewelry, everything I had. And you let her talk to me like I was garbage." He started crying. "Please," he said. "We're drowning. Fallon's been using credit cards just to keep up with costs. We're behind on payroll, the vendors won't deliver unless we pay up front. If we lose this place, we lose everything. You should have thought about that before you shut me out," I said. Then I hung up. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel strong. I felt sick. But I also felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: control. 4 days later, they cleared out. The place was a mess. The fridge was full of spoiled milk and moldy bread. There was a pile of unpaid invoices stuffed in a drawer. Some workers hadn't been paid for weeks. One of them, a young woman named Kelsey, was still showing up every morning, hoping to get a check. She looked terrified when I came in. "I don't work here anymore, do I?" she asked, clutching her apron. I said, "Do you want to?" She nodded fast. "I just need a job. I don't care who owns the place." I hired her on the spot. I called a friend of my husband's, Ron, who owns a bakery in Spokane. He sent over a manager, Denise, who knew how to clean up disasters. We scrubbed the place down. Rethought the whole thing. We dropped the fancy name Fallon had picked and went with something simple: Mariner coffee. We took the prices down. Got rid of the weird tofu breakfast sandwich nobody ordered and brought in fresh-baked muffins, solid drip coffee, and homemade soups. Kelsey stayed. She turned out to be a gem. I gave her a raise. Within 3 weeks, regulars started coming back. By month 2, we were turning a profit. That's when the calls started. Fallon first. Then her mother. Then some lawyer she knew. She tried to claim we were using her brand. I told the lawyer to read the lease. Then she tried to badmouth us online. Said we'd stolen her business. But people remembered how rude she was. How messed up their orders had been. Most didn't care. Some even commented saying, "Glad it's under new management." Caleb never called again. But he showed up one night. I was in the back, counting out change. Denise came and told me he was in the seating area. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He had a beard now. Looked older. Tired. "I'm not here to fight," he said. I nodded. "I lost everything," he said. "Fallon's gone. She took the last of our money and left. I'm working nights at a hardware store." I waited. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. He didn't cry this time. He didn't ask for anything. He just stood there like a man who finally understood the damage he'd done. I didn't forgive him. Not yet. But I told him something I hoped he'd remember. "Respect is a choice," I said. "You made yours. Now you live with it." He nodded. Then left. About 3 weeks after Caleb came by, things started getting weird. At first, it was small stuff. Flyers torn down from the window. A few fake 1-star reviews from accounts that were clearly made the same day. Then one morning, we came in and found the front lock jammed with glue. Denise had to call a locksmith. Cost us $180 and an hour of lost morning sales. I had a feeling it was Fallon. I didn't want to believe she'd stoop to that, but it all lined up. The bitterness, the timing, the way she couldn't let things go. Then it got worse. One of our deliveries, meat and dairy, was left sitting out in the sun. The supplier swore they'd dropped it off at the correct time, but when we checked our camera, the footage from that hour was missing. Someone had unplugged the outdoor security camera. We started locking everything down tighter. I installed 2 more cameras. I filed a police report after the 3rd incident, even though they said it was probably a random vandal. But then one of our baristas, Jordan, got followed home. He was closing that night and left around 10:30 p.m. A dark SUV trailed him all the way to his apartment. It didn't do anything, just idled for a bit before pulling away. But Jordan was shaken. I called Caleb. He picked up on the 2nd ring. "Is Fallon doing this?" I asked directly. He paused for a long time before answering. "I don't know," he finally said. "We don't talk anymore. Last time I saw her, she was screaming at me in the parking lot of the courthouse." "What for?" "She wants me to pay off her credit cards. Said I ruined her life." "Do you think she's dangerous?" I asked. He let out a breath. "I don't know what she's capable of anymore." That night, I sat at my kitchen table and wrote everything down. Dates, times, details of every strange thing that had happened. I printed copies of the reviews, the delivery complaint, the police report. I wasn't sure where it was going, but I needed a record. I was tired of playing defense. Then, out of nowhere, I got a letter. Not from Fallon. From the IRS. They were auditing me. According to the letter, someone had submitted an anonymous tip claiming my business was underreporting income. I nearly fainted. I spent the next week digging through receipts, printouts, invoices. Denise helped me gather all the payroll records. Our books were clean, we had nothing to hide, but the timing was no accident. The audit dragged on for 3 months. It took a toll. I lost weight. I barely slept. But I didn't stop showing up every morning at that cafe. I smiled. I poured coffee. I thanked every customer. I didn't let anyone see the fear. Eventually, the IRS closed the case. No issues found. They even apologized for the stress. 2 days after I got that letter, one of our regulars, a man named Mark who worked nearby at the courthouse, came in and pulled me aside. "You might want to know something," he said quietly. "A woman matching Fallon's description came by a few weeks ago trying to file a small claim suit using fake documents." "For what?" "To say you forged the lease and stole the business." I stared at him. "She got flagged right away. One of the clerks recognized her from an earlier mess. They didn't file it. But she's trying something." It hit me then, she wasn't done. She was spiraling, but she still thought she could win somehow. I told Mark thank you. Then I went home and called a lawyer. I wasn't taking chances anymore. Meanwhile, the cafe kept growing. We got featured in a local blog. Sales doubled after that. We had to hire 2 more people just to handle weekend traffic. Kelsey started managing the front end. Denise stayed on as general manager. I took a step back and started training my replacement. That's when something unexpected happened. Caleb came back. Not to ask for money. Not to work. He came to sit. Just sit. He started showing up in the late afternoons, ordering a coffee, and sitting by the window reading job listings. Quiet. Out of the way. I let him. Then one day he got up and walked over to the counter. He looked Kelsey in the eye and said, "Can I take out the trash or anything?" She looked at me. I nodded. He started coming in every day after his shift at the hardware store. Cleaning tables. Emptying bins. Fixing wobbly chairs. One of our light switches had been busted for months. He brought his own tools and fixed it. He never asked for pay. He never asked for forgiveness either. Then one afternoon, I got a call from Denise. "There's someone in the parking lot, screaming," she said. My stomach dropped. "Is it her?" "Yes. Fallon. She's trying to talk to Caleb. He's outside." I got in my car and rushed over. By the time I got there, she was gone. Caleb was sitting on the curb, shaking. "She's lost it," he said. "She said she was going to ruin this place. That if she couldn't have it, nobody could." I called the police again. This time, I showed them everything. The vandalism, the audit, the fake claim at the courthouse, the threats. I gave them the whole picture. They started a case. And that's when everything started turning. The police opened an investigation, finally taking it seriously. Between the IRS complaint, the courthouse stunt, the glue in the locks, the delivery sabotage, and now the parking lot threat, they had enough to connect the dots. I gave them security footage, screen grabs of the fake reviews, even witness statements from staff. They told me they were watching Fallon, and they advised we get a restraining order. I agreed. The restraining order was approved 2 weeks later. Fallon never showed up to contest it. But that wasn't the end. She still had one last card to play. I found out about it on a Monday morning when my cafe credit card was declined for an order of supplies. We use it to pay vendors, never had a problem with it before. I checked the account and saw $3,200 in charges from over the weekend. Online clothing stores. Jewelry. Plane tickets. All under my name. Fallon had stolen my identity. At first, I didn't understand how. Then I remembered. 3 years ago, when I helped with their initial loan paperwork, I'd emailed her a copy of my driver's license and social for the bank application. She had kept it. I filed a police report that day. Contacted the credit card company, the bank, everything. They froze the accounts and started fraud investigations. That night, Caleb came to my apartment. He looked broken. "I didn't know," he said. "I swear to God, I didn't know she kept that stuff. I thought she deleted it." I believed him, but it didn't change what had happened. "You married her," I said. "And you let her speak for both of you. You gave her the keys to my life." He looked like he'd been punched. "I know," he whispered. I asked him something I never thought I would. "Do you want to help me finish this?" He looked up, confused. "I mean it. Help me clean up what's left." He said yes. We worked together over the next few weeks. While the bank untangled the fraud, Caleb helped me get every document, every statement, and every piece of evidence into place. He brought me things I didn't know existed, old emails Fallon had printed, screenshots from her phone, even a burner account she used to leave fake reviews. The police were impressed. They pulled her in for questioning. Her story kept changing. Eventually, she stopped talking. She was arrested for identity theft, fraud, and harassment. But what really sealed it was something Caleb remembered. Fallon had recorded herself on her phone, bragging to one of her friends in a video message that she'd played the dumb old woman like a fiddle and that the lease didn't matter because once the cafe makes money, we'll just boot her. Caleb found that video in an old cloud folder and turned it over. That was the nail in the coffin. Fallon was charged. She took a plea deal, but she still got time. 18 months in a women's correctional facility outside Spokane. 5 years of probation after that. A judge ordered her to pay restitution, though I don't expect to see a dime of it. The media caught wind of the case. A few local outlets picked it up. Retired woman reclaims cafe after son's wife commits identity fraud. It made me uncomfortable, all that attention, but it helped business. People started coming in just to meet the lady who got her cafe back. I never used that story to market the place, but I also didn't hide it. People need to know that kindness doesn't mean weakness. As for Caleb, I didn't forgive him right away. But I saw him show up, day after day, and put in real work. No shortcuts. No excuses. He fixed broken chairs, learned to make drinks, trained under Denise. He apologized to every staff member Fallon had treated like garbage. After 6 months, I gave him a key. After 1 year, I gave him a title, assistant manager. I took a step back. I still go every morning. I sit at the same table by the window. I get my coffee and a muffin. I talk to the customers. But the cafe runs without me now. And that's how I wanted it. People ask me sometimes if I regret giving them the money to start that cafe. If I regret helping. No. What I regret is not protecting myself sooner. I thought being quiet and polite would be enough. That love was enough. But you have to write things down. You have to get names on paper. You have to keep copies. You have to stay sharp. Fallon thought I was an old woman who would just fade away. Instead, she handed me the one thing she never wanted me to have, her confession. And I used it. Now, the cafe is mine. My name is on the door. On the bank account. On the lease. But more than that? I got my son back. And I didn't have to scream. I didn't have to fight dirty. I just waited. And when the time came, I let the truth burn everything down. Then I built something better.